What if your parents told you not to dream big? Not because they didn't believe in you, but because the world wasn't built for you. That was the reality for Alister Ong. Born with cerebral palsy, a lack of oxygen at birth affected his brain's motor functions, leaving him dependent on a wheelchair from a young age. Growing up in Singapore in the 90s, accessibility wasn't just limited, it was nearly non-existent. No lifts at MRT stations, no ramps on buses, no lifts in schools. Even basic things, like going to the canteen or joining friends to play at recess, were off limits. And so the dreams others had for him were shaped by survival. His dad told him to go into finance so he could earn a living from home. His mom said maybe he could be a home tutor. Neither spoke to each other about this, but both imagined a life lived safely indoors. Not because they didn't believe in his potential, but because they had never seen a world that would accommodate someone like him. Fast forward to today, and that world looks very different, because Alister didn't stay in. He stepped out again and again into a world that wasn't ready for him, and started reshaping it. Today, he's the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Client Solutions Lead at global recruitment firm Michael Page, where he helps companies become more inclusive, not out of pity or policy, but because it works. This is Inclusivity is Empowering Everyone, a podcast by Wantedly and I'm Able by SGEnable. If you're an employer looking to build a more inclusive team, or a job seeker with a disability ready for your next opportunity, you'd want to know about the Wantedly Hire Inclusive Job Portal. It's a first-of-its-kind job platform that curates roles specifically for persons with disabilities. Every job listed comes from an employer who has pledged to create a supportive, accessible, and inclusive workplace. Visit the Inclusive Job Portal now, link in the show notes. We're kicking off our series with Alister's story, a story of barriers, breakthroughs, and the belief that inclusion should be the norm, not the exception. Now let's talk about the job search process. For someone with a disability, the questions begin way before the interview. Should I mention my disability in the resume? Should I bring it up during the application process? What if I wait and show up in a wheelchair? Will the space even be accessible? For Alister, the balance he's found is practical. Once an employer invites him for an interview, he lets them know that he is a wheelchair user, not to make it an issue, but simply to check if the venue is accessible. Sometimes employers are warm and welcoming. Other times, they hesitate, unsure if they're ready or worried they'll fall short. And one thing that Alister's learned from this, that's okay. Because the important thing is having the conversation. Getting honest about accessibility, asking the right questions, setting shared expectations. It's the difference between assuming and understanding. When Alister walks into an interview, he's not just asking for accommodation, he's also making clear what he brings. Sure, he types with one finger at a time. But his strengths, they include public speaking, strategic thinking, relationship building, and unique perspective that comes from lived experience that helps teams transform into inclusive ones from the inside out. His lived experience isn't a limitation, it's a lens. There's one moment that really shaped him. He was a student volunteering in the Philippines. During lunch, the team leader approached and said, "Hey, Alister, would you share your story later?" It was totally unplanned and terrifying. He lost his appetite on the spot. But he said yes. And when he spoke, something shifted. People listened. They came up after, some in tears, to thank him. They said they felt seen, encouraged, moved. That was the first time he realized his story had power, and maybe sharing it was a way to give back. Since then, he's leaned into that calling. He mentors others, guides employers, builds cultures where people can bring their full selves to work. One of his proudest moments, sitting on the Forward SG panel, right next to Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, contributing to the conversation on Singapore's future. It wasn't just a seat at the table. It was a sign that voices like his matter. So what keeps him going? Transformation. It's seeing someone's mindset shift. It's watching a workplace go from wary to welcoming. It's the simple power of being seen, heard, and included. And it's knowing that inclusion isn't about charity or tokenism or checking a diversity box. It's not even just about equality. It's about equity, creating space that accounts for different needs. Not so everyone gets the same, but so everyone gets what they need to thrive. Because when workplaces are truly inclusive, everyone benefits. Diversity drives innovation, inclusion builds trust, equity powers performance. And one day, Alister hopes we won't even have to talk about inclusion. Not because it's no longer important, but because it's already there, already assumed, already expected. Like wearing glasses. No one questions your ability to do a job just because you have a prescription. Maybe one day, disability will be seen the same way, as just another part of human diversity. That's Alister Ong's story. And it's a call to action for companies, for leaders, for all of us. Let's build a world where everyone belongs, where difference is seen as strength, and where no one is told to dream smaller just because the world isn't ready yet. This is Inclusivity is Empowering Everyone, a podcast by Wantedly and SGEnable by SGEnable. If Alister's story moved you, share it. We need more of your voices out there to spread the word. Visit the Wantedly Hire Inclusive Job Portal, a first-of-its-kind job platform that curates roles specifically for persons with disabilities. Every job listed comes from an employer who has pledged to create a supportive, accessible, and inclusive workplace. We've put the link in the show notes. Bye.